Hey guys, Craig here again. A quick channel update for you. Let's try and put that into focus for you. So I'm just about to start on my latest project, which is the Alien Halcyon Nostromo. Super rare kit to find now. Anyone that's been trying to find one know how hard it is and how expensive they can be. So basically this is it. As you can see, quite a chunky box, and it does actually build into be a huge ship. Just some information on the side of the box and everything, but other than that it's pretty much the same on all sides. But yeah, Halcyon. So when you get inside the box then, this is everything that you get, and I'll go through it in a second. Having a look at the instructions. Down this side it gives you a bit of information about the actual ship itself and the movie. It gives you some stats and everything here on what the actual model is. This is a little bit saying thank you to the various people that helped make this particular model. One of the parts it says here, as to the question of accuracy, Halcyon was provided with enormous help from the ex-Alien personnel who had worked on the original movie. Access to the personal photographic libraries enabled us to assemble the best possible reference. However, there were 3 models of the Nostromo used to film the movie. Of the 3, we had to make a choice about which one to model, since each differed in some way from the others due to scale. Different modelers doing things differently, etc. Finally, we chose to model the middle-sized version. This Nostromo was used notably during the separation sequence from the refining platform when the engines fire for planetfall. The final choice is ultimately up to you, the modeler. We hope you enjoy your model. We are proud to have added this classic craft to our extensive range of Alien, Aliens and Alien 3 model kits. We'll come on to more about that in a minute, because there is a considerable amount of work you need to do on this kit. So opening up the one-page instruction manual, it's a fairly simple kit to put together, and you'll see why in a minute. There's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 main stages. So there's the first stage of putting it together, which is the front part of the hull, the middle part of the hull, engines, the docking hatch for the actual refinery, and bits of the engine. Number 2 is all the detail going into putting the engines and rocket boosters and everything onto the back of the ship. And then number 3 is the landing legs, and all the little antenna and all the little gribblies and that to go on the side. It's got a bit of a parts checklist. As you can see, it's not very substantial at all. And then on the back is a very basic painting instructions guide. It just basically says that the landing gear is gunmetal, the overall ship is light grey, the black parts are dark grey, and then the darker parts are obviously black. It tells you there the whole colour is light grey, all areas inside the engine thrusters should be painted a darker grey, the landing gear should be painted gunmetal or any dirty silver colour. The whole model should be heavily weathered down in various shades of silver for exposed metal areas, and black and umber washes to represent an extremely dirty look. Depending on where you see the Nostromo in the movie will govern how you choose to paint your model. Different lighting conditions on the planet's surface means it looks greener colour, whilst lighting conditions in deep space show the craft to be a lighter colour. The choice is up to you. We recommend that you use only water-based acrylic paints on your model or enamel paints, as this will damage the PVC. So moving on to the actual kit itself then, what you actually get in the box is this. Basically big chunks of rubber PVC. It's very, very badly put together, to be honest. As you can see, it is just pure a rubber type PVC. It actually tells you in the instructions that you've got to melt it in hot water, try and shape it before you stick the other pieces on. But the fit is absolutely awful. There's gaps all over the shop. But saying that, the detail on it is actually considerably pretty good, considering it's all moulded in, to be perfectly honest. So that's the main engineering deck, I'd say you'd maybe call it. That's where the docking bay goes on the top. These parts are obviously for the engine. This part here, big rocket booster, little rocket boosters, etc, etc. Moving on to the engines. Here's one that I've done already. Again, the detail is pretty phenomenal, considering, but again, it is, I don't know if you're going to see that very well. Let's just try and squeeze it. It is a rubber PVC. So it's super glue all the way for this build. Engines, as you can see, I've drilled all those out because they were solid. Just need to tidy it up and clean it up a little bit. But they are just one piece, solid molded, again, rubber PVC. Little rockets, again, the detail on them's pretty good. Again, PVC, the whole kit's PVC. Just got a little bit of tidying up again on there, get rid of some of that crap from where I've drilled it. Big rocket boosters, solid cast. I've drilled all these little holes out to try and give it some detail, because it was just literally moulded rubber that was in there. So I've drilled the holes out to give it some sort of depth to the actual thing. But as you can see, the detail on it, considering it's all one piece, again, is pretty good, I think. The only downside to this malarkey with this sort of design, very difficult to light. If you were going to light these rockets, for example, you're going to have to drill down that entire shaft without coming out the sides. Obviously, the kit's that old, you're not going to get a replacement part, so be very cautious. This is a piece where one of the main rocket boosters go on. I've drilled a hole out there because I am going to light this. This red stuff that's on there is where it was previously glued to one of the engines. As I bought this from someone off of one of the forums, and he had started it, and this is just the remnants of tidying up and taking the thing apart again from his effort of putting what little bits he did together. But yeah, again, the whole thing is just pure rubber. That cast part there is actually quite solid, but the actual part that goes together, I don't know if you can see that, it is literally just rubber. That's that. Back of the engine bays, exhaust ports. These landing legs, you get 3 of them. This is one put together, and as you can see, I've drilled the holes out in there. I'll come on to that in a minute for lighting. But that is how the legs turn up. You've got to put 2 of these together onto one of them to make one of them, and then this whole piece here is one part, and you just stick it in. The leg that's left is for the for this part. This is the front of the ship. Again, as you can see, the detail on it's pretty phenomenal. This key piece here is where the front landing leg goes. Those 3 holes there, like little rocket boosters. So as you can see, I've drilled them out, so I might put some orange flickering LEDs in there to simulate the thing sort of like turning off as it's landed on the planet. It's got little holes here and here. That's where all the antenna and that stick to. Anyone familiar with the film, that part there, where my finger is, this here, is where Kane, the android, no, sorry, Kane, Ash the android is, watch them as they walk off to the derelict. In there's a bridge just inside here. These pieces are for the front antenna. But as you can see, the detail on it is, again, phenomenal, considering. These pieces up here that I've drilled are actually spotlights. That sticky up bit there is for an antenna that sticks onto there. And that's basically the front of the ship. So moving on to the docking bay then. As you can see, that's the docking bay that clamps to the refinery. It's got some pretty good detail moulded into there. However, it's not 100% accurate. I'm on about this piece in here. There is an aftermarket piece for this, but I'm not going to bother with that. But again, there's the exhaust inlets or whatever for the rockets that go onto the back of there. What these two holes are, that hole and that hole, they're going to be lit. This piece here is for the rear hatch. But yeah, as you can see, again, the whole thing's rubber. Quite a few air bubbles in the thing, to be fair. And this, what fits onto that, is absolutely awful. As you can see, lighting it is going to be a pain in the neck because it's all hollow, all solid one piece, and a lot of the lights that are on the front of this, you've got to get through that entire shaft. But trying to get that to fit onto that, it don't fit. The shapes are two different shapes, and I don't even think putting it on in hot water to melt it is going to do it justice. I think there's going to be a lot of filler required to attach that piece to that piece for the front of the ship. Moving on to the rest of the kit then. What we've got those little rocket boosters I was just telling you about, and then you've got all the little gribblies to go onto the engines. You get 4 of those, I think. 4 sprues of that. You then get 2 sprues of this, which are all the antenna, and then these pieces here are the front landing legs, the doors for the front landing bay, and the rest of it's all the antennas down here. You get 2 of those. You get 4 of these, and this is all the antennas and little dishes and all sorts of stuff that go on the side of the ship. These ones are the ones that go on the front of the ship. And then these, you get 3 sprues of this, which is all the flaps that go on the back of the rocket boosters, on the back of those things. However, all these pieces here, all of this is all plastic. It's not actually PVC. So yeah. So what have I done to this so far then? Well, as you can see, like I said, I've done the landing legs and I've drilled the holes. Now, if anyone's familiar with a nostromo, the landing legs light up when the thing comes into land, but they've made it square. However, it should be round. So I've done my best to try and make a round sort of like lighting system. There's going to be a big 10mm LED that's going to go in there that's going to light up all the little holes. So it looks as though it's going to come down like little spotlights. But like they said, they did this version as if it's just coming off of the refinery. And there were going to be inaccuracies. So that's one of them. So if you're going to attempt to have this landed with the lights in it, you're just going to have to make best with a square hole, basically. Rocket boosters, as I've already mentioned, all of that was solid. So if you want to add some depth to it, or if you are going to light it, just drill them out. Just be very, very careful drilling the rockets out. Again, if you balls it up, you're not going to get a replacement. Certainly not cheap. Same with these. I've drilled these out. Exactly the same sketch. Just be very, very careful. Get the right size drill before you go hammering in there, because the little details, they're sort of like mushroomed out at the ends. Just be very careful that you get the right drill size before you wipe that out totally. I've already mentioned these, so I won't go through that again. I'm not going to drill that out to try and light it. They'll just be off on the actual thing itself. The biggest part, when you get the model, as you've obviously gathered, it all comes pre-moulded. Everything in there is obviously solid. Same with these, everything on the outside solid, and you're going to have to cut out the individual lattices. So these just need tidying up, but I've pretty much drilled and cut them out. And what you'll end up with, here's one I finished earlier. That's the lattices drilled out all together. There's one just in the corner there. I'm not even going to attempt it because it's so thin and fragile. It's probably going to take this whole chunk off and then I'll be knackered. But when it's on the ship, you're not really going to see it, to be perfectly fair. Same on the underside. You need to cut these out. Not all of them on the actual studio model will cut out, because when you get in closer, they're actually let's try and get that zoomed in a little bit better. It's actually got like little grates on it, little vents. You might just see that. There you go. So they're like louvers, and these, when the thing's landed, there's loads of steam and smoke that comes out of there. So what I might do is stick a tube running through the middle of the thing. Let's try and get that zoomed in. Get a tube running through the middle of the thing into here, and then have like a little smoke machine that plugs in, and then the steam and that will come out of the exhaust as it does on the planet. So yeah, you've just got to be very careful drilling all that out. It attaches via there. As you can see, you need to cut a hole out for the wiring to go through for any lighting you're going to put in. That hole's there for the rocket that goes onto the back of here. That's going to be the wiring to come through, and then into that piece. These exhaust ports, which go on the bottom part here of the engines, exactly the same script. You're going to have to drill out the lattices if you want to add that little bit of extra detail to it. Why aren't you zooming in properly? There you go. As you can see, that one's probably the easiest ones to do, because you can get in the back and tidy up pretty well. But again, just be very, very careful, especially these pieces in the middle, otherwise you're going to be trying to replace it with plastic rod or whatever. Rear docking hatch, that goes at the back of that piece. If you remember, I said docking hatch goes there. Well, that's that piece there. Again, there is detail on it, as you can see. There is little mouldings in there of panels and stuff, but that's just solid. That don't require any work at all. So lighting with this, these are going to be fibre optic on the top here. When you put an LED in here, because of the colour of it, I don't know if you'll see that, it glows kind of like that yellowy colour. So I might just mask this area off at the front, because you can't drill it, it's too small. Drill this area off at the front for the that observation tower bit, and then hopefully the light will just shine through there, and all that will be light blocked. Some of these antenna bits, they require lights on the end of them, so what I'm going to have to do is maybe get some brass rod, various lengths, and construct these individual antenna so they're hollow, and maybe get a fibre optic strand going up there, mushroom it off at the end, and then light it with fibre optics as well, to get the lighting effects on there. Inaccuracies, there's no windows or lights or anything that go down the side of the ship, but there are quite a few windows that are supposed to be down here. So you're going to have a look at reference material and figure out where they are. This one I'm going to do is landed on the surface of LV426, and what's missing, and I need some help with it to be perfectly honest, when that goes together, it's got those like Christmas tree lights that come all the way down here, and then it's got like a funny V shaped, and then it comes all the way along here. There's nothing there for reference where to put them, so you're just gonna have to figure out yourselves where to put them. So basically I'm just gonna have to drill a series of holes all the way along, and probably fibre optic that. But the big part that's missing, because this is the one that comes off the refinery, is the 4 big spotlights that go at the bottom when the thing lands, and I cannot find any reference material or any pictures on what it actually looks like, where those spotlights go, what they look like, or anything. So to save balls it up, I'm just not going to put those on, but they should be here, 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 and here on the other side. But again, like I said, no reference material, and as you can see, that's the sort of gaps you're going to be getting. That's the sort of gaps you're going to be getting when this thing's joined together, if it actually joins together at all. I might just have to cut all of this smooth, sand it all smooth. Same on that side, because it has got a lip that's supposed to fit in this hole. I might just have to sand all that smooth and then just try and get that put together somehow. Biggest challenge with this though for lighting is going to be light blocking, because like I said, when you stick this on there, you can pretty much see it's just transparent because of what it is. It's PVC, thick PVC rubber. So light blocking that is going to have to be literally the outside that gets light blocked, because getting in there and getting every little nook and cranny sort of like covered enough to stop light leaking through is going to be a ball ache. And in particular that is just going to be a complete and utter nightmare to light block, especially down at the front where you can see those two big divots at the end. That's just going to be a complete nightmare trying to get that all light blocked from the inside. So that's basically where I'm at with the Nostromo then, guys. It's going to be a slow progress this. I'm in no rush to get it done, so I'm just going to plod my way through. What I'll do after this video, I'll finish drilling that out so it's identical to the other one. And then maybe figuring out how I'm going to do those antenna. But yeah, that's basically where I'm at with a Nostromo at the minute. So you can see, if you actually do ever, or be lucky enough to buy one, you've got quite a bit of work to do, or not, depending what variant you want, how you're going to do it, if you're going to have it in space, if you're going to have it on a planet or whatever. Oops, I nearly dropped you there. So yeah, you've got a bit of work to do if you're going to get this bad boy, but be under no illusions, this stuff is going to be a nightmare to be sticking together because of it being rubber. Granted, it's quite solid, but it's still rubber. So normal glues like your Tamiya super thin and that just won't work. It'll just melt the rubber and you're knackered. It also tells you on the instructions not to use enamel paints because it will chew the rubber. So you're restricted to acrylics. Basically, everything that we use in modelling is going to attack this thing and hurt it somehow. So you're just going to have to be extremely cautious and just trial and error, do small pieces at a time. If it don't get affected, move on to another bit. But just be very careful with it. So anyway, that's the Nostromo then. That's me done for now. I'll upload this in a second for you guys to watch. Any questions or comments, give us a shout. Any help with these spotlights that go on the bottom of that bit for the landing scene, or any reference pictures other than where the lights are on and it's dark and you can't really see what they are. If anyone's got any good reference material to actually show me what those lights look like, give us a link in the comments. But anyway guys, thanks a lot and I'll speak to you later.